English is undoubtedly the language of the world. In more specific terms, a global lingua franca. From important diplomatic talks to simple conversations over the internet to the language used by the pilots of air traffic control. Most of the world speaks to each other in English. However, it wasn't always this way. So, how did we get to this point? Well, it's no secret that America is a global superpower, and it's easy to attribute the fact that English is so popular as a language to just this fact. But it's important to understand that that isn't truly the case. In order to actually understand why English is so widespread, we have to look at the rise of the empire on which the sun never sets, the British Empire. Starting from the late 16th century all the way to the 20th century, the British Empire's influence grew until it had obtained approximately a quarter of the earth and 1/8 of the population, which is incredible. The most important thing to note about all this is that it not only spread English culture and people throughout the world to these places, but it also spread the English language there. So that meant that the English people who went to settle in these countries would generally either turn English into the dominant language, like in the USA, or a common language to communicate between regional groups, like what happened in India to a certain level. Because of the British Empire alone, English had been spread to many parts of the world already. And it's only after this that we start to focus on America's influence. However, English became the dominant language in the US after French and Spanish territories were taken over. And despite large amounts of immigrants moving into the country, the only other very common language was German, which was waning in popularity after World War I pushed a negative stigma associated with Germany. It's interesting to note that it was around this time, the two world wars, that America's influence in the world started to grow. This was the time that the country started to become a global superpower. And because of this, plus the prominence of the Cold War fully solidifying America's place in the world, it meant that the prominence of English grew worldwide and made it a lot easier, thanks to it already being present in many colonies or former colonies of the British Empire. However, the globalization of various forms of media that occurred with technology improving rapidly throughout the 20th and 21st centuries spread American culture throughout the world. And that means that there was a chance for everyone to hear English in some way or form, like through music, TV shows, news broadcasts, whatever it is. Also, since the 1950s, the international language of civil aviation is English. And in 2008, the International Civil Aviation Organization, the ICAO, introduced and started implementing the English language proficiency requirements for the air travel staff to understand the standard aviation terminology. This means that officially, the language that airplane pilots use internationally is English. So that is why English is pretty much the world's language. It is an incredible story spanning from the 16th century all the way to the present day. Thanks so much for watching. If you like my videos, then make sure to subscribe and don't forget to click the bell icon so you don't miss another one of my videos ever again. Once again, thanks so much for watching. Love you, Akash.